Okay, so in the last video, I figured no roof light. That one is okay. Close the door. And I had a whiteboard next to me with some Easter eggs for my business here in Norway. But if you saw that, the date is not like written in stone. Also, the lighting is reflecting in my pictures. We need to do something about that. Better. And the door. Very cozy. This isn't YouTube approved, is it? I do have a ring light. I don't know. It's a little sharp still. Okay, let's go. So yesterday I had a lot of things to say, apparently. Much more than I expected me to. So today, will it flow to me just as easily? I brought some books. Because I'm going to tell you about my mental health and how I worked through it. Because I had severe OCD. I don't remember the exact number on the Y box scale, but it was like 3 out of 4. That's kind of bad. I'm not gonna let you in on everything that I thought or the things that I did think, but I spent many years not understanding that I had OCD. I just thought they're gonna lock me up. I cannot let anyone know this. I cannot let anyone know that I'm thinking like this. Shit, if they knew what I was thinking, the thoughts that was in my mind. What the actual... Like, I need to protect society from myself. It was like really, really freaking fucking bad, okay? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I want you to understand this. And there is one very common thing that people think. A very, very common thing that people think. And that is when you're standing at the edge of a cliff. That's the one I go to always when I tell people about this stuff. Have you ever, you're standing on a cliff, you look down. It's just so easy to jump, isn't it? It's so freaking easy. What if I jump now? What if? That's the key. What if? What if? Gotta back up. I cannot be so close to the edge. What if something takes over and makes me jump? So you back up. That is the perfect explanation of obsessive compulsion disorder. You have like an intrusive thought, something that will bring you harm, and then you do something about it. You back up. So for many people, these things they really, really get to you. And most people just like, ugh, whoa, that was freaky. And then they walk back down with the people they came to the mountain with. It's so easy also to think, whoa, that person is awfully close to the end of the cliff. What if I... But that's the thing though, that's the thought. It's more like a cartoon. Because you don't really dive deep into the thought because you're not a criminal. You're not a criminal. When you have OCD though, when it was that bad with me, you dive deep into the idea that you just thought that. What if I push them? What if I did harm to another human being? Many people are afraid to be contaminated. I was afraid to contaminate. And I spent many years working through this. I'm not going to tell everything about what went through my mind. I never really understood what I was struggling with because I thought it was anxiety. I thought I was crazy. People around me thought I had ADHD. I didn't. I never had. But I was like, for some strange reason, I was terrified of leaving a hair, like a stray of hair. And I didn't want to leave my DNA anywhere. Even though I worked there, I came there every day. It was something about leaving something of my own there that was like, no. Or even like visited, maybe it was family. I just didn't want to leave something like that. In Norway, obsessive compulsion disorder is called forced suffering. You're forcing yourself to think a certain way. I never understood what I was struggling with until the day that I thought to myself, why do I keep forcing myself to think like this? Why do I keep forcing myself to think like this? And then I was like, I'm forcing myself. I'm forcing myself to think like this. This is the forced disease. This is the forced illness. OCD. This is fucking OCD. It was just like, the thing is, when you don't talk about it with anyone, you will not have like a sparring partner. You will not have like a person who is helping you with this. So I spent so many years trying to understand what the fuck I was doing in my mind. So many years. And then I finally got myself some help. And I went to the doctors. I told him, even the doctors, I was afraid to go to the doctor because I was afraid to tell him all the things that I was thinking. Think about that. You need help, but you're terrified of telling the person what kind of help you need. You don't understand. They do. They know. They will help you. They know exactly what you're struggling with, but you're terrified of telling them. Terrified. Like I was terrified. I was rarely there. I still am, but now it's just because I'm busy. But I was like, no. Anyways, I told my doctor, he helped me, and he got me into this program. First of all, like I had this meeting, and they were supposed to have this course, which is called ERP course, during the November of 2017. Yeah, this goes way back now. This goes way back. Wow. It's been a couple of years. Fuck. Okay. Anyways. I currently feel sad about it because it's taken so long. And I'm happy about the result today. And it really helped. So they talked with me, I talked with them, and they decided, because the course that I was going to join was booked up. But after speaking with me, they decided to add more therapists or psychiatrists And they got me in there. They figured it was a good thing to add me to this as soon as possible due to the severity of the OCD. And luckily, I got in there, and I did all of this right before COVID hit. And I was very lucky with the timing of everything. I got the help right before the worst kind of bacteria spreading. And we had to stay home. So what I did during this time was I started school, and I decided I was just gonna, because some of the teachers, they told us, this is gonna be a period of like a short period of your life. Please focus on your studies. If you can like not work, then please don't. Like, they were practically saying that. And I had the opportunity. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, which I am forever grateful for. For fucking ever grateful for. Thank you so much. Because it gave me the opportunity to step back and work on my mental health. And I never really wanted to do the medication. And this ERP course, I recommend if you have family, if you have friends, or you know someone with OCD, like the signs are there, like they are very strict with you. Like, you gotta move this way, you gotta do that, you gotta do, like, if you move out of a certain pattern, for example. I did see this guy on Instagram who showed so many videos of his mother having OCD. People calling the cops on her. I think they did call the cops on her themselves. Like, he was not allowed to use the kitchen almost. And he just wanted like a pizza. He was like hungry. He made a pizza in secret, I think. Like, that is the most extreme OCD. Medication is one thing. Sure, you can medicate the person, but that doesn't really take away the core issue, which is there's something in your mind that needs to be tweaked, which the ERP course can help you with. I was very lucky that everything happened the way it did. It aligned perfectly. Now, even though I feel like I've lost many years, I haven't lost all of them. I'm here right now. I feel like actually some of the things that I did do during that summer, I finally decided like to take like a sick leave, which was like, oh no, you cannot take a sick leave. That was like the mentality in my family. Like, only this and that person do sick leaves. But I decided to do one, and I started streaming on Twitch. Yeah, because that's why I remember 2017. I decided to start streaming on Twitch, but the reason behind it was that then I can probably have like a job where I can always double check what I did during the entire workday, because everything is going to be on video. And that was the reason why I started streaming on Twitch. And I've heard many people are asking me, why are you so good in English? That is because I spoke English for so many years. Only English. And then I started educating myself in different English language. Like, everything was in English. Just like a side fun fact. Yeah. So during this time, I did the bachelor. I had like a year course first, and then I did a bachelor in economics and administration. Everything was so freaking boring. I am not an economics person. I'm not a booking agent. I am not one who sits behind the screens punching numbers all day. What I liked was all the subjects you had to choose, like the extra subjects, or like the random, like the ones that you didn't really have to do, but you could select them. I had information technology, coding, backend, things like that. And that was fun. That was so fun. After the bachelor, I started Nurov, learned how to become a front-end developer. I now develop web pages, but it's been very hard finding a place to actually get a job. So, and I'm kind of thankful for that as well, because that forces me to be creative. I've been extremely creative. Now, if I back up a little bit, I did the course, the ERP course. That is when I started getting back into, that is when I started to get back into my pre-cray self. I'm going to use those words. I'm going to say crazy. I'm going to say cray. I'm going to say Harley Quinn. Fucked up in the head. I'm going to use those words, bitch. I slowly started to get back into it. I was able to stay at home, studying, working on myself and my inner world. And when COVID hit, witch talk took off. Witch talk was, I would say, people who finally saw what was right in front of them now that they couldn't travel far anymore. We couldn't really go out anymore. We could go to nature. We could find whatever was and I lived in the middle of mountain, forest, sea. I had the perfect place to get well. I was so freaking lucky. I've been lucky since the 80s, okay? I was born in the 90s. So I had the opportunity to just walk out, start to touch grass again. Freaking just touch grass. And I started working through everything in a pagan way. I touched grass, literally, and trees and mountain water. I started slowly coming back, and I didn't have to go out and do all of the things that we are obligated to do with people, the parties, the everything that can you imagine having OCD and you're touching this cake divider and you're not supposed to sort of wash it after you use it because that's abnormal. People around you will be like, why are you doing this? So I was very lucky to have COVID hit. It was a bad time. It was a bad time for the world. Everything, there was so much misery. So I obviously, that is very important to say, that it was so many bad things happening around the world at that time. I'm not ignorant to that. I understand that. But from my point of view, it sort of saved my life. It's kind of amazing how things just work out for some people. Now, this could be stuck. This could have been stuck forever. Something that is very important to point out is that there are a lot of dark numbers when it comes to suicide amongst the people that have OCD, because they don't understand why they're thinking the way they're thinking, which is why I sort of want to make it more known, because OCD is not just being perfectionist. You're not tidying, cleaning all day, making things look perfect. No, you have OCD, you're the most messiest person sometimes. You're a hoarder. People hoard. Some people really just stack up on things. They cannot throw them away. I really struggled with throwing things away. Sometimes I do have some things coming back to me now and then. So sometimes I actually check the entire garbage can before I throw. Even though I know everything is garbage. It's not very fun to roam around like old coffee filters and nasty bananas. But it sometimes happens. It does. Yeah. 2017 is a long time ago now. And I have spent every day of those years working on my mental health. And I didn't want to use medication. I did have some medication for if something were to happen very spontaneous. And I would love to share more about the how of how I got through it, because that is so much more. And I realized I just spent like 30 minutes recording this. I didn't even touch the books. Come on, let's go. That will be for the next video, actually. The books will be in the next video. To sum it up, 2017, I got the help that I needed. And I worked through everything with a minimum amount of medication. Because I wanted, and I realized very quickly that this is actually something that I can work through myself. This is something that I can actually do. This is something that I can bring myself out of, because I realized that I also was the one who brought myself into it. By starting to roam, by starting to overthink, by starting to question everything, by starting to make everything in my mind much more heavy. I realized that OCD is something you bring onto yourself, not necessarily just by yourself, but with your circumstances. I read somewhere online, which is very true, that you cannot get healthy in the same environment where you got sick. And I was very lucky to bring myself out of the environment that I was in. I moved from my family. I quit my job. And the entire field that I was working in. And I've never gone back. I might in the future to test myself, because I like to test myself and see how far I've come. I might go back in the future, but I probably will not, because I am this creative spirit, and that job is very specific and has guidelines and has restrictions, which it should have. I'll get more into that later. I might get into that later. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just gonna wing it. Just say whatever feels right to talk about. Because now's the time. I'm finally fucking free from my mental judgment. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And yeah, by the way, so I am talking about mental health issues. And I find it to be important to mention that mental health issues are an individual journey. Now, what happened to me and the way things aligned for me is going to be very different from someone else's experience with OCD. So it's a very individual journey, and all we can do is like guide ourselves through the jungle of information and find whatever fits us. Maybe some of the things that I talk about match your experience, or maybe it opens your eyes to something new that can help you. I'm just gonna go all in and use the words like cray cray and crazy, as I mentioned, and not take things too seriously anymore, because that is fucking exactly why I was in that situation to begin with. So I am not gonna take things too seriously anymore. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. As mentioned in the last video, it's my introduction, to be honest. I have a voice and I have things to talk about, I have things to say, and I want to share. Yesterday, I was having so much fun editing the first video. I was like in a real flow state. You know that state you're in when your time just flies by, and yeah, and you're just having fun doing whatever you're doing. So I get that from editing a video where I share something, and I get it from coding. And when I build something, when I make a web page, I'm like just having the most fun ever. Time flies by. I forget to eat. I forget to drink. It's just like the best. And I did not find that until I had the time for myself to process everything that I learned through life and everything that got clogged up, and I started to like loosen up again. Yeah, that's when I found tech. Tech is just fun. Everything that has to do with, I don't know, like tech things. I don't know. How should I end these videos, by the way? I need to do some research. Maybe with a teaser for next video. So here's the books. So this is just my notebook. And then there's Goodbye Things, or Farvelting, from Fumio Sasaki. And The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. This is from Sophia Elise's book club. The House Witch. And The Witch's Book of Self-Care. I actually didn't read all of this, but still doing it. Okay, bye.